Hello, students, and welcome to Relationships in Ministry. Not exactly the location or format that we thought we would finish our class, but I'm very excited about the lectures that we still have in this class and the change of some of your projects. And I definitely want to talk to you about those today. Now, I want to mention a couple things. We're going to go and review your exam in just a couple moments so you're all ready. The next class that you have will be your midterm. So you got to make sure that you're ready to go, and I'm going to give you some things on review. But we do have several changes in your syllabus for this class. So I need you to get your syllabus out. Hopefully you're all ready to go with that. And I need to talk to you about a lot of changes. But I'm very excited about it and how the Lord's going to use this. Matter of fact, I may end up keeping these changes in the syllabus. The first one is in your syllabus, under Roman numeral 3, it says course requirements. You have been doing Bible memory verses of Romans 12, and we were going to memorize the whole chapter. I think our last memory verse test was Romans 12, 7 and 8. From this point on, you are not memorizing any longer. You're going to do a commentary paper. In other words, you're going to give me a commentary on Romans 12, 9 to the end of the chapter. Now, I'm going to explain that. So listen how we're going to do this. So from now on, you're going to hand in now, not every week, on April 22nd, will be due the paper on Romans 12, 9 to the end of the chapter. Okay, so you've memorized 1 through 8. You do not have to do it. You may want to do it. I may give you some extra credit if you did verses 1 through 8. But these are the 3 things I want you to do for every verse in Romans 12, 9 and following. I want you to define at least one word in every verse. So in Romans 12, 9, you're going to figure out a word that you want to define. Can you do more than one, Dr. Shetler? Absolutely. I love definitions. That can add to your grade. But I've got to have one word that you're going to define in every one of those verses. They're all going to start with D here, so get ready. Number 1, define words. Number 2, direct application to relationships. So in every verse, you're gonna just give it could be maybe 1, 2, 3 sentences of how that verse would be applied directly to a relationship situation. And then number 3, and I really like this, you will describe a biblical character that would exemplify that Bible verse. Now, can you use examples of somebody who is the complete opposite of that verse? And the answer is yes. If there's an example of somebody that really didn't do what that verse said and shows you what not to do, you could use that as well. But I think you're going to find a Bible character for every verse in Romans 12, 9 and following. So let me go through those 3 things again. How long does this paper have to be? You know what? It just has to have this as your rubrics. I think it's going to be around 1,000 words, but I'm not putting any stipulation on that. So every verse 9, verse 10, verse 11, verse 12, in every verse, you're going to define at least one word. You're going to give a direct application in 1 or 2, 3 sentences of what that verse, how it could be applied to a relationship. And then you're going to give me a Bible illustration for every one of those verses. I think you're going to enjoy the project, and I'm not worried about the length, though my thinking would be that this would be around 1,000 words. It may be a little bit more, maybe a little under. We're not even going to, you just follow the rubrics, and that will be good, and that will take care of your verse project. Now, we have another project that we have to decide what we're going to do with. Now, the Taylor-Johnson Temperament Analysis Project If you have not received your graph yet, and I think there's about 4 or 5 of you that did not, you need to notify us and let me know, and we will get those out to you right away, and I will give you a little bit more of an extension. I think there's only 4 or 5, at the most 6 of you that have not gotten back the graph yet. I need to know who you are. Then I need to mention this. Now you will continue. The rest of you all have your graph with the 2 people. You need to do your paper after the Taylor-Johnson temperament analysis test has been graded, which is almost all of you. Write a short synopsis of observation where your relationship with that person would be strong and where there would be struggles in the ministry. So you have those highlighter lines. One is you, and the other is the person that you did. You have a very high active social. You have a very quiet. How's that going to work? You don't even have to do all 9 areas. Choose a few. I think if you would do at least 4 areas, that maybe a couple of them would be strengths. I think we would work together really well because we're opposites here, or we're both very organized or whatever, or maybe we're both very high impulsive, and I could see us not being very methodical, very organized in a church office or on the mission field or whatever. So you can do your project, you have your graph, and I do need that in by April 1st. I am expecting that project still to be done by then. That should give you plenty of time. Now, what about the oral presentation, and what about the Christian service relationship project? Well, that's going to have to be changed now because of our setting. So here's what I want you to do. First of all, this project now will not be due until April 18th. I think originally it was March 18th. Now it is not due till April 18th. This one will be 1,000-word project, at least 1,000 words. And we are going to discuss each other's situation. Now here's what you need to do. You need to take one of the lectures. You can do more than one, but you need to take one of the lectures. Whether it's on the 4 statements of being a peacemaker, forgiveness of a fellow worker, or someone you live with now. All right, it may be your mom and dad. You can apply now any one of my lectures to someone you're living with or someone you're in contact with back at home. And you take that lecture, the 10 Commandments to Corrective Communication. What did you do in speaking with that individual? Did you use the 10 Commandments of Corrective Communication? Tell us the story. You would have in class orally. Now you're going to do it written. You're going to tell us the story of the lecture, the one lecture about being an encourager. I've come home and I have a little sister that's really in a lot of fear because of the virus and things that are going on. And I used the lecture, how to become an encourager. And I did this principle and I did this principle. Put those online, and then we are going to discuss each other's encounters, relational things, using the outlines in the lectures that we were given. Okay. So, and I'll talk more about the discussions later on because you got to post these things first. And I know that's going to be probably a couple weeks before you post them. So I'm not going to be that concerned about the discussion post on each other's. I want you to make sure that you understand what I'm looking for. What I want to see is specific things that I gave in class on the lectures that you heard. I want to see those things implemented in relationships you're having. Now, we wanted it to be with Christian service. That's kind of out now. It may be people that you live with, maybe in your church that you're coming in contact with somewhat on a daily, absolutely on a weekly basis, but maybe on a daily basis or a few times a week, you come across this person, you're having a relationship with them in some way, shape, or form. It could be at work. It could be those of you live with in your home. You take one of my lectures and you give us a story about it. If you said, I did that, Dr. Scheller, and I did it in like 250 words, then you've got to take another lecture and do another relationship with the same person or with another person. I want 1,000 words on, and again, it could be all on one lecture. You could tell us the whole saga, the whole story of what happened. You use the four statements of a peacemaker with your father, with your sibling, or whatever it might be. And the more information that you gave from our lectures into this relationship, that's where your grade's going to go up. So if you have to do a few lectures with a few different people or the same individual with different lectures, I don't have a problem with that. I do think we need about 1,000 words. Then you're going to post those, and then we're going to have discussion. Now, I'll explain the discussion part of the grade a little bit later on. But I think that is pretty self-explanatory. By the way, you do have one more reading project, and I wanted to mention we changed the date on that to April 1st. And that is building up one another, the one another's in the Bible. I think you're going to really enjoy this. This is also 1,000 words, a paper, and to send that in as well. And I think that's going to be the book is just excellent. And how to get along with one another. And all of that. And that's pretty self-explanatory. I just changed the date is what I did on that to April 1st. I would like now to review your midterm. Now, your midterm will be the next class that you have. So you need to make sure that you're ready when you click it on and you turn on. You're only going to have 20 minutes to do your midterm, and it'll be plenty of time. If you know your things, you'll get it done. Most of it is fill in the blank. I do need to mention a couple things. If you're not used to taking tests on Canvas, you have to have exact wording. And I'm going to kind of go through some things right now that I think that will help you with that. If you're writing some notes down about the review and about your exam, let me encourage you to get the 4 steps for appeal, discover your motive, discern the timing, determine your response, and develop your words. So make sure now you have the right statements and the right words in those. The 3 ways to forgive a co-laborer. It'll be a fill-in-the-blank statement. I think there's several that I gave. You only need a few of those, but I'll give you the statement. You have to fill in the blank. So be familiar with those statements on the 3 ways to forgive a co-laborer. Discovering your spiritual gifts. How do you do that? That'll be fill in the blank. You'll have to get the right word. So make sure that you go through the different ways to discover your spiritual gifts. You won't have to write the whole statement out. You'll just fill in one word maybe with the statement. The matching on the midterm will have to do with our spiritual gifts. So we have the 7 spiritual gifts in Romans 12. Serving, mercy, ruling, exhortation, teaching, prophet, giving. There will be a characteristic about each one of those spiritual gifts, and you'll have to match those. Biblical encouragement. I gave you 2 definitions. Both definitions will be on the test. They will be a fill in the blank. So look up the definitions of biblical encouragement and what it is, and I will give you a couple blanks in each one of those definitions. You'll have to fill those in. The 10 commandments of corrective communication will also be fill in the blank. So I'll start that thou shalt listen before blank. And you will fill that in with the proper word there. So just keep going through those 10 commandments. By the way, that may be a great lecture that you'll use in your relationships at home or wherever. Maybe you're going to have to confront somebody, and you will have used those 10 commandments of corrective communication in having to confront a relative, somebody in the church while you're back, or a friend, or what have you. It could be interesting. I'm definitely looking forward to reading those as well. There are several true and false questions, some about forgiveness, some about biblical encouragement, and different ones like that. I think you'll do well on that. So remember now, the next time you look at and Canvas, it'll be your midterm. So be ready to go with that. And then after that, we'll get back to our lectures. And I'm very excited about that. And students, this is not what we had planned, but I just want you to know. Let me encourage you. I'm sure all the other teachers are saying this as well. But the lectures I'm going to give, they're only going to be about 20, 25 minutes. We're going to shorten them. It's going to be great material on learning how to relate to other people in ministry. I've got some great ones coming down the road, your relationship with your pastor and different ones that I think will be of a great help to you. So let me encourage you to listen to each one of those, and we'll be praying for you. If there is anything that I can pray for any of my students, please text me, email me. And I really mean that. How we want to stay in contact with you guys is really our heart's desire. So if there's anything I can do, let me know. You've got to let me know if you don't have your graph on your Taylor-Johnson temperament analysis. We got to get to those right away. And I will tweak the due date on it for that so that you'll have some more time to work on that as well. Okay, thank you much. Next class period, it's your midterm. I hope you're ready.